Let us move towards the next discussion of the day. To succeed in this highly competitive environment, startups needs to be agile, adaptable, and focused on achieving on their goals. Managing hypergrowth is a critical challenge for startups as it requires scalings, operations, and infrastructure at an unrivaled pace. Technology, talent, or focus? What exactly should be the key strategy for a startup to build a strong foundation for success and achieve their goals in a rapidly changing environment? So let us understand this space by our next set of speakers in this space, and I would like all of you to please give them a round of applause as I announce their names. Please welcome Mr. Amit Jain, Chief Risk Officer of BharatPay, Mr. Ankur Agarwal, co-founder at Dunzo.in, Mr. Sumit Kabra, Director at RR Global, Mr. Santosh Durairaj, Venture Partner at Brink, Mr. Rishant Kumar, Growth Lead APAC of Kilt Protocol. Please give them a round of applause as they come on the stage. And I would also like to call the moderator for this particular panel discussion, Mr. Ravi Ranjan.
I had heard about this from Rachit Bhai that Ravi Bhai, you have to come to Surat to look at the energy. But I did not believe him. But when I look at this crowd today, it's insane. Can we have a big round of applause for all of you people? Amazing. Thank you so much, Ivy Growth, for putting together this wonderful show. And we are very, very excited to come here. We are going to keep this very interactive. We'll ask some questions which is going to add a lot of value to all of you. If you're building a startup, if you're planning to build a startup, if you've already built something, or if you're running a traditional business, I think this panel is going to give you so much insights about how to scale, and not only scale, but hyper scale your business in a way that it goes to the next level. तो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि आपने एक बिजनेस बना लिया या आपने एक स्टार्टअप बना लिया, अब एक स्टेज पे आके आप रुक गए हैं, अभी वहाँ से आगे का सफ़र कैसे होगा, ये काफ़ी मुश्किल होता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर आप एक कंटेंट क्रिएटर हैं, यू हैव गॉट let's say 100,000 followers, but उससे going to 1 million or 2 million, how does it work? आप एक कंज्यूमर ब्रांड हैं and you have let's say active users of around 100,000 every month. वहाँ से how do you go to 1 million and 2 million? That is what we are going to cover today. And if we get some time, we'll also take questions from the audience. So I'm going to start with a quick round of introduction from my left, requesting. You have a mic, okay. If you can take a minute and just quickly introduce yourself and the brand you represent. Thank you.
Hi everyone, so my name is Rishant and I'm from blockchain space, cryptocurrency basically, and working as a growth lead for Kilt Protocol, which is a part of Polkadot ecosystem. Prior to that, I was working with PwC US as a senior tech lead for 9 years approximately, and multiple other multinational companies, and recently, last year, I made a move to the Web3. I mean, I'm not quite sure how many of you know about Web3 over
How many of you are building Web3 solutions here? Can we have a see, we have people here. We have people in the back. Great. Okay.
Yep.
Wonderful. Santosh.
Hey, hi. This is my first time in the city. What a vibrant energy that you have got. Happy to be in the state. My name is Santosh. I represent Brink. Brink is a global venture accelerator headquartered in Hong Kong, and we are present in 7 other countries. This is the first year in India, and we have started with our Web3 accelerator, and we are launching our enterprise SaaS and other programs shortly. Prior to this, I was an entrepreneur myself, seated there, and I'd built a couple of companies and scaled them. And before that, I was fortunate to work closely with multiple CEOs in the Tata Group. And that's what we're going to discuss today much.
Wonderful, Santosh.
I am Sumit Kabra. I represent a group called RR Global. We are one of the largest electrical conglomerate. And
how many of you have heard of the brand RR Cable? Can we have a raise of hand?
Yeah. Thank you.
See, you are the
very much.
celebrity today. Okay.
Thank you. So it's glad to see, starting from 99 and today people are knowing. So this is the hands used to be very rare when I used to be before 15 years on this kind of dais. So thanks everyone for who knows us as RR Cable brand. Thank you.
Wonderful. Amit.
Hi, I am Amit Jain, currently part of BharatPay. I am their outgoing Chief Risk Officer. Been there for last 2 years in their journey. Prior to that, I worked with Bajaj Finance for close to a decade. Prior to that, with SBI card again for quite some time, and some bit of working with Standard Chartered Bank and G. So close to 2 decades of working around largely on the financial services, credit, and lending.
So if any one of you is building anything in fintech, he's the guy. He spent many years with Bajaj and now with Bharat Pay, brings a lot of expertise. Very quickly, take the opportunity. My name is Ravi Ranjan. I have had the privilege to be part of the Indian startup ecosystem for more than a decade now. It's very interesting, the journey. I come from a very small village in Jharkhand. When I was growing up, my village was the highest Naxal-affected area in the country. Never expected that I would be here and many such places talking to so many people. But that's what the power of resilience and the power of perseverance. And if you believe in something, you always get it. So more than 12 years, I started with Indian Angel Network, worked with a program called 10,000 Startup. It was a very interesting program. And then for the last many years, I have been working very actively with various organizations. One of the organizations which I represent is called Venture Catalyst Group. It's one of the largest early stage to growth stage investment network, almost $1 billion invested in more than 350 startups across the country. Apart from that, I also designed a very interesting show called Shark Tank India. I don't know if you know about this. Okay, so I had the opportunity to design the launch for Shark Tank India, got all the sharks together, helped Sony build the entire format. Very interesting. It was such a great experience. We were expecting that 3 years down the line, the show would have a great success, but we never expected that this would change the landscape of India, the way we talk about entrepreneurship. I also represent the royal family of Dubai, help them get startup from across the world. And then we have recently launched a $100 million sports tech fund with a very famous Indian cricketer called Shikhar Dhawan. So I'm helping them build the fund. And finally, there are a couple of things, but I'm not going to spend more time on that. The objective here is to talk about how to hyper scale your business. So I'm going to start my first question with you. So Kilt is a very interesting solution, trying to build the next, wave of innovation in cryptocurrency. Do you want to give a quick insight about the platform which is, built on top of Polkadot, which is again a very scalable solution? How has been the journey so far, and how's the overall Web3 ecosystem looking like when we talk about scalability? How amazing it's going?
Yeah, so the basic difference between, I would call this world is a conventional Web2 world, and Web3 is the community. So even before we start doing any kind of, or if you have to kind of start making any sort of project, first you have to find where is your, who all are your target audience and what kind of value they will bring to the ecosystem. So once you have that, that's the first step of doing any kind of scalable product, whether that will be successful or not. Coming back to Kilt, we are a decentralized identity protocol built on top of Polkadot. Again, it's a very new topic for most of them, and I think you'll have to go back and read about it, what decentralized identities are and how it's going to change the world going forward. With the rise of AI right now, you will see a lot of change happening in terms of how people interact and how the bots will be interacting with the normal people, and then the identity perspective will come over there, that whether the person with whom you're chatting is a real person or is a bot. And the only solution to that is having a digital identity. And in terms of, there will be certain scenarios where you will come across the bots will have to make certain kind of payments online, and that's not possible unless you have a digital currency behind that. Either it could be a CBDC, centralized bank digital currency, or a cryptocurrency. So that's the first thing. I mean, the community comes the first in terms of scaling a solution out there.
A quick follow-up question. India, which is today one of the fastest growing economy in the world, also by 2025 we'll have more than 500 million people who are going to be 30 and below. It's a great opportunity. When we say community, I think India is the most powerful community for the next 10, 15 years. How do you see Web3-based solutions getting a massive scale in India?
So I think it's already happening with what Polygon has achieved in India. I mean, they are one of the biggest, I would say, a crypto company which came out of India and scaled to scaled in such a manner that it's present everywhere. So what I have been experiencing, the younger generation of developers are now more inclined towards the emerging technologies because that's where the future is heading. With the rise of, again, the AI and whatnot, whatever is happening, if you have to be in that cream layer of 1%, you have to run towards the what's going to be the hot in the market, in not now, at least from 5 years down the line. And that's how you can separate yourself being a mediocre or whether you want to follow the herd or you want to be a leader.
Wonderful. Great insights. From the world of Web3, let's move to the world of real business, RR Cable. Sumit, you have started this, I mean, your family started a business in 1999. From there on, it has been a phenomenal journey. Today, you are present across the world, number one. Number two, you're going for an IPO very, very soon. Number three, in a market which is so difficult, it's a commodity business, you need to have foot on the ground, you need to have people distributing the product, you need to have quality control. Despite all of that, you have become such a powerful brand. How has this journey been? Number one. And number two, for all the founders who are sitting here, trying to build and scale their business, what would be your insights on that? Sumit.
Well, Ravi, great question. We started in 99 and today we are almost reached to $1.2 billion group. At that point of time also our peers like Polycab, Finolex, Havels were already big enough, more than us. So it always becomes a scary part, okay, you're fighting sometimes a giant against. So it was a strategy very clear, being in a commodity industry, you have to be fast over the slow rather than big over the large. So here the suggestion to all the startup world, never be afraid, even if you're smaller, but if you're keeping the right pace with the right attitude, you can always have an opportunity to become very big in the market. Well, we adopted a strategy of brand image as well as the competitive edge. So if you see, we started distinguishing with the name itself, that is called RR Cable. So in Indian market, we found that, the cable, the generally people pronounce as wire and cable, but we kept purposely as a cable, where, we distinguish ourselves with the brand name itself from day one itself. So if you go away from the Asia, the Europeans are the first one who innovated this kind of technology. And we bought all the machines from there and made sure that we make a European wires and cable quality in India. That's the space which is missing in India. And we started with that. So fortunately, we were the only company who started after 2.5 decades from peers, but we are fighting them in the top 2 position in India right now. So of course, there has been challenges. We had to be, in our business, the wires which goes behind the wall. I'm glad that today, out of 10, 8 people are recognizing us. But before 15 years, when I used to see or go in the market, our whole family, out of 10, hardly 1 or 2 people used to know which is the wire inside the home. So although the task is more difficult to build up a brand in this kind of segment altogether, but this, again, we saw an opportunity. If you make a right product with the right influencers, we can become a top brand. And that's the strategic part we do. Just a small, for us, the customers are electricians, basically. And they have a very less time. So we used to identify which is a spare time the electricians are standing on the shop, and we used to offer tea and samosa at that point of time to explain our products. So we have to buy their time by offering something and explain their product. That's the journey. We started from a small BTL activity, and today we build up a large brand. And proud to say we acquired this year Luminous Fans and Lighting Division as well. So we're the first company to acquire an MNC arm in India in electrical sector. Ravi.
Big round of applause for that. Amazing story. I think ये जो कहानियाँ हैं ना, ये हमें ये यकीन दिलाती हैं कि कितनी भी मुश्किलें क्यों ना हो, जैसे आप बात कर रहे हैं, मार्केट में ऑलरेडी फिनोलेक्स, हैवेल्स, इतने सारे ब्रांड थे, वहाँ पे एक ब्रांड बनाना और वहाँ पे एक पहचान बनाना, it's not easy. It's a very, very difficult job. That brings me to the next panelist. We have Amit here. Amit, you have worked with very interesting companies, and your current role at BharatPay is also very interesting, because when BharatPay started, we already had PhonePe. At peak, we had Paytm, we had Google Pay as well. But then BharatPay was able to not only launch themselves, but also built a completely new category with very interesting products like 12% Club or Postpay, or even BharatPay for that matter, where there was a 0% MDR for merchants. I think that changed the game completely for fintech in India. What has been your experience as a veteran in the finance market, and especially when you build a consumer tech product in finance? Very difficult. First, RBI regulation. You have to comply with every single regulation, which is very difficult, I understand. But at the same time, you need to make something so, I would say, fluid that people would love and stick to that. Can you share that experience with us? Thank you.
Sure. So BharatPay, when they started, though I have joined a little later, but the foundation of the company or the thought process the founders had, that we create a segment which solve purpose for merchants, because every other players on the digital side, when this digital currency and UPI was kind of getting extended in the market, everyone was going to customer, right? Customer first. But BharatPay started by adopting a strategy where they try to solve merchant first. So they adopted and kind of started building products which solves merchants' needs, small SMBs, small mom and pop kirana shops. So they tried to find out their possible pains and their opportunity areas on those segments. They started with Geo MDR, which itself kind of created a differentiation, and they could get a great hook to kind of compete with players like Paytm and PhonePe, which were already there in the market. Beyond that, they keep innovating product categories which solves merchant needs. Right? They created something like an investment product which helps merchant to park his surplus money in the platform itself, by way of which he keeps earning. They started building a product which is lending, right? Solving their working capital needs for the small merchants. Because typically this ecosystem is outside the credit ecosystem, right? They don't have any financial document. They are small transactions they do. Their earning is on a daily basis, right? No financial credibility is there for them. So help build product around lending, working capital lending, using the transaction which they are able to kind of underwrite on, right? So some of this innovation which they brought in the market, and that helped BharatPay to kind of get into the market segment. So I think the key is, when there are many players in the market doing the similar kind of business, targeting or serving similar segment of customers, you need to be innovative. You need to come out with something which is different, which is unique, which attracts customer, which provides a different kind of value proposition. And that's how you start getting into and build those hooks of getting into customers, and then keep building, keep evolving, keep innovating on your product journeys.
Wonderful, Amit. Santosh, coming to you. You represent Brink, which is a very interesting and I would say a very, very important pillar of building the startup ecosystem, which is venture building. We don't have a lot of successful models in India, but it's very successful in West, I know about it. Brink plays a very crucial role in supporting the startup, not only with funding, but also giving them all the necessary support when they are building the company and scaling up to the next level. Do you want to share some insights about your journey with Brink, and how this very important part of venture building is helping the next phase of entrepreneurship from India?
In the VC ecosystem, there was time like less than like 2 years, 5 years back. The community building was not taken for a serious opportunity, right? But today, the community of founders for a VC is where the deal flow happens. And how do you get the right founder to work with you, right? So like how you all, the founders think we'll need to have the right VC partner, the VC ecosystem also wishes to work with the right founder. So it's more of a give and take. And second, by way of differentiation, we want to unlock the existing latent opportunity which presents in everyone, be it human, or be it money, or be it the market that we are present, right? So in the case of Brink, Ravir, we are present across the East region, right? So we started with Hong Kong, and then we went into Singapore market, and then progressively into the China market, and then went into like 4 countries in Middle East, right? And we are recent in India. So being an entrepreneur ourselves, right? So we want to build this. Our global founder, our India CEO, and our team is filled with ex-entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, right? So we wanted to look at this as for founders, by the founders, right? So we felt that connecting the dots for founders across the geographies and enabling them to build a proof of concept or idea at the early initial stages across different continents and across different consumer profiles, right? So you go back to like 3 or 5 years back in Amazon, right? Amazon Launchpad was there, which took a lot of D2C brands from India to all the way till about the US West markets, right? So, but what if that opportunity presented itself in the early days when you're building a product, right? You'll be able to co-create for a global market. And that's where companies like Brink come into play, right? We don't only be the first institutional investors in your company. Together, we'll also travel with the right set of mentors from across the global region to give you the right expertise and also help you unlock the right markets for this product, not just our country, right? So that's been the journey with respect to sustainably growing from one country all the way till multiple countries. And how do we not only partner with the right founder in investment, but also the right founder in starting our business in that country, right? So we take that learning and build it down to our founder's DNA. How do we do the right investment with the right people, and thereby we become sustainable business and be someone tomorrow, like how we all appreciate what RR Kabul has done, right? And we all, our startups should aspire to come to that level, to being more responsible, being more sustainable, and doing the right things at the right time.
Wonderful, Santosh. I have an audience question. I'm going to ask this question to you. The question is, what to do if a startup is, in a way, stuck? It's not moving ahead, it's not also losing. How to take this journey ahead? I mean, if you are at a point where it's, I would not call it saturation, but I would call it a mid-level where you're not able to move ahead. You're making money, but not able to scale. I'm sure you must have faced this while building RR Cable. How did you overcome that, and what would be your advice for all the founders?
Well, of course, any startup, this kind of phase we have to sail through, and that's the resilient power we show as an entrepreneur altogether. We also had an issue where, of course, the scalability was an issue. Being in a commodity player, not even growing in the market at the pace, but at the same time, you have to manage the working capital when the LME goes from 2,700 to 8,200. That's the scalability. So suddenly your working capital also increases. So of course, we have also gone through these kind of phases where the working capitals are not there, the resources are not there. But that's what the entrepreneurial resilience comes, believe in the faith, and we always upgrade ourselves with the market. So we have been always ahead of the curve. To just brief you, we are the only company having almost 21 accreditations of the world under one roof, under one brand. So we are the only company in the world having this kind of accreditation, and that's the reason we have been able to sail this journey and reach to almost 75 countries in the world today. And we also set up, we made a strategy, not only in India, to become a brand. So right now we have a plant in Bangladesh as well. We are the top 3 brand in Bangladesh. We're also in Middle East as well, so we are top 3 brand in Middle East as well. So we have been constantly growing further, build up a strategy, not only in India, but we upgrade ourselves. What is the best technology in the Europe, America, and build up in India and the whole Asian countries.
That's amazing. I want to share very quickly. There are 2 companies which we have invested. I'm very excited about these companies because these companies are in a very traditional space. But the way they scaled is phenomenal. The first company is called MyFitness. It's a peanut butter company from Silvassa. We never expected that a company from Silvassa would become so big that in 2 years down the line, they became the #1 brand in the country. They got acquired recently by a larger brand, but the way they built a normal peanut butter business and took it to the next level is phenomenal. The second company is called Resha Mandi. It's India's, I would say, world's first company where they help in silk trading. So, all the silk which is bought, most of the silk comes from China. There was a dominance of China, but this company took a very old, boring business and made it so sexy. There are another company, but one company is Zetwork, which has made manufacturing so amazing. Today, Zetwork is a unicorn, and they have many, many clients across the world, but they have been able to scale in such a difficult market, which has been a true inspiration. I think I have another question, which I would like to ask you. The question is, what is better? Keep investing in a startup, make money, or build a new startup? If I'm a, let's say, 30+ person and I have an option, should I invest and make money in a startup, or I build something of my own?
Very insightful question, right? So I like to take this in 2 parts, right? So introspect deeply, like what gives you happiness, right? If it is like building people and building opportunities, then if that's the zone, then I think like you'll start something invariably, whatever you end up doing now. Second, you drive happiness out of building multiple such opportunities through multiple such right people, right? What I mean by that is our good friend Arjun was here sometime back, So after he had exited, that he could have started something on next one, like gone to next one, like serial. But the route that he has taken is more on how do I take this opportunity and give back to the ecosystem and the community, right? So there are two ways of looking at from the school of thought where you come from. Either you want to do it, and also we see a lot of entrepreneurs after the successful exits, right, go back to building. But at the same time, keep the checkbook open and be happy to connect with the founders of building ground up, right? So I think a mixture of that would be any day healthy for an entire ecosystem of founders and enablers.
Rishant, I have my next question for you. While we have few people here who are building something in Web3 space, but as I travel across the world, I see the excitement around Web3. I think everyone across the world is very, very bullish about the opportunity. I mean, it's not even an idea, it's real, it's happening out there. But still, there's a huge disconnect. Two challenges. Number one, regulatory challenges in India. Not on Web3, but I would say on the cryptocurrency, where there has been some challenges from the government. But at the same time, it's really a large opportunity, number one. Number two, eventually a lot of young folks are very excited about the Web3 opportunity, where you can build in a decentralized approach, and you have, I mean, sky's the limit. You can build whatever. I mean, what internet was 25, 30 years ago, that's Web3 today. What would be your couple of insights for all the people sitting here who might be building something in Web3, or just trying to explore, or trying to understand what is the hype about Web3? If you can just give some insight on that, that'll be great.
Okay, so first of all, it's not hype, it's happening. This is the major disconnect what people feel. The moment you say you are somewhere associated with cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, oh, it's a scammer, it's a scam, it's some kind of shit going on. But the fact is entirely opposite. It's deeply inside tech. The tech, when internet came back around what should I call, like 15 years back then, who would have thought that you will be sitting inside your home and you'll be ordering food on your app? This idea would have sounded really absurd back then. The same, the blockchain industry or the cryptocurrency industry is exactly going through the same phase how it happened back then, when people had no belief on the ideas, on the abruptive ideas. The same exact thing is happening right now. So my suggestion would be, if you have to be like entirely, if you are a technical person and if you want to do something really different, you have to think out of the box, not do the simple things what is happening on the regular basis or doing the regular stuff. Rather go for something innovative which will change the world going forward, and which exactly what blockchain and cryptocurrencies will do going forward. Despite of the fact that our government is not supporting as of now, and there are so many regulatory challenges pertaining to that area, but India has been always an observer before, rather than taking that bold step. And from this stage, I would like to say, if anybody is there from the government over here who can make certain kind of reforms, don't kind of take this industry and compare it with a gambling sort of regulations, what is happening right now. Because you are pushing away a huge market for your youngsters, your youngster generation, and the kind of job opportunities what it's creating. A normal developer in an IT company, a fresher, ends up earning around what, like 5 lakhs per annum or something like that. A blockchain developer starts earning from $200K per month. So that's the huge gap I see.
That's wonderful. Just 2 weeks ago, yeah, we'll take some questions. Just 2 weeks ago, I had an opportunity to meet a gentleman called Sam Altman. He's the founder of a company called OpenAI who built ChatGPT. I asked him a question that, Sam, while we all love ChatGPT, how should countries who have a large population should prepare themselves? Countries like India, Bangladesh, and most of the countries, including Russia and China. He had a very interesting answer, which I completely resonate with. He said that, see, it's an evolution of technology which nobody can stop. It's just that we are at the forefront of building this. So the way we got computers, the way we got supercomputers and it helped us go to the next level, the same way AI is going to help add value to the existing scope of innovation which is happening across the world. And I think I completely understand, but again, at the same time, some people might have some inhibition, but to be honest, Web3, AI is not the future, it's here. It's happening tomorrow, 2 years down the line. I will come to the same conference, but it would be completely different in a way where it would be powered by AI. Most of the things which we see today being done by manual interventions is going to be all automated. So it's just going to be going on crazy from here on. We can take maybe 2 questions from the audience. If you can raise your hand, we'll try and get a mic for you. Yes, we have a gentleman here. Can we please get a mic there on the left side, please? Thank you.
And
Yes.
to add to your point about the Sam Altman, even he's creating crypto in
Yeah,
background.
absolutely. If you can please stand up, we'll get a mic for you quickly. Thank you.
Sir, someone who is focusing on building up a lending-based fintech app, lending-based app for the masses. So what majorly you should focus on in case of, there are chances of NPAs. So you have been in Bajaj Finance and you are in Bharat Pay as well. So what you consider as the major risk in case of defaulters?
Sorry.
Just to rephrase the question, his question is that he's trying to build a lending solution. One of the biggest challenge for a lending company is NPAs. People who would not pay, your loan book would go bad. How should you build your strategy so that you can tackle the NPAs and you can scale? Because of your expertise working at Bajaj Finance and Bharat Pay, what would be your insights?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Giving credit is the most easy thing, right, in a lending business. Collecting back is the most difficult job, and that's where people differentiate, and successful organizations have been able to kind of build businesses where they're able to collect companies like Bajaj. I would say whenever you're building a lending business, like every ecosystem is different. Suppose you are a fintech company, you're trying to build a lending business. You have to understand your ecosystem, right? There is no one principle which can be applied across lending products, right, or lending businesses. It's your ecosystem, what all you can do in your ecosystem, what all data you have, what kind of tools you have to kind of underwrite, assess a customer. That creates the differentiation, and that's how every other fintech player is trying to build. Like they have their own different ecosystem. They're trying to create their underwriting approaches within that ecosystem, understand their customer personas, use a lot of data, use a lot of new technologies, a lot of new connectors which is getting built out as part of various tech innovations which is happening from government and RBI side, right? Leverage them, build your own ecosystem, understand that ecosystem and build your models, right? And also in lending, there is no one formula that you apply it and it will work. You have to keep testing, keep trying, right? You have to keep testing build your hypothesis, keep testing. Some will work, some will not work, keep improvising them and then kind of scale them. From an NPA point of view, see again, it's not standard. There is no standard that you can say that this is a percentage NPA, this has to be maintained. It again depends on what's your portfolio is, what your bandwidth is in terms of what earning you are getting, right? What is your ROIs? Depending on that, your NPS will vary. And depending on different kinds of product categories within lending, this will vary.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amit. I think that's a very interesting point for anyone who's building a fintech solution. Just to add to this, as I was saying earlier, AI is going to help a lot. So a lot of lending companies are already integrating AI. There's one company I know, it's called Data Sutram. What's so amazing about them? Apart from working with a lot of companies, they're working with lending companies where they are giving them access to satellite data. So let's say you are underwriting a large check for a person or a company, they would be able to give you the satellite data of the number of footfalls at the outlet across the country. And this is just one example of using crazy technology to take it to the next level. So, you leverage these technology and obviously don't forget the old khata book where you need to make sure that money going out, money coming in, it happens every month. A lot of companies face the challenge recently. We had a very bad scenario with another company in the fintech space. But anyways, Santosh, you want to add something on this point?
So like you rightly said, right? So the tech stack which was available earlier for the large MNC banks to understand consumers' profile is now available to anyone who wants to create a fintech lending profile, right? So how many times that you have changed the SIM card? Are you paying your bill on time, right? Are you regular in terms of the multiple subscription usages? So all this data today is available at an API call. And that's where you can use intelligently to lend it to a person. And we also feel that it's going to be an era of personalization, like how you're seeing in health and wellness and beauty. You will see ultra personalization towards loans, towards repayments, towards recommendations in financial products going forward, right?
Great. Sumit, do you want to add something? Or we'll take the next question. We had this question on the left side. Can you please get a mic here to the gentleman here? Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. So, first of all, thank you so much for the recognition. So, I represent a very early stage startup right now, which is trying to build like a large language model-based personalized local assistant, right? Like which tells you about things that matter to you that are happening locally. Now, the big struggle we are facing with that is that we want to build an MVP for that because like that's a very large vision. And we're kind of thinking like how to go about building an MVP which actually can easily horizontally scale for the long term.
So your question is you're trying to build a solution and you want to build an MVP so that you can figure out if it works for you or not.
Exactly. Like we have the large idea, but like we don't know how to shrink it to a MVP so that we can demonstrate where we are going, the direction we are going in.
Absolutely. Nitin Bhai would have been great for this question, but you're sitting there. He's trying to build an MVP and scale it up. But anyways, I'm going to get Santosh to answer this. Santosh, if you can quickly give insights on, he's building a large language model. Obviously, you can't build everything together. How do you build the first version and then the second version and scale it up?
It's interesting that firstly you're looking at building the base level rather than not doing on the top. So we also strongly believe that there'll be a lot of players who will be building a +1 model, right, with all the BARD and OpenAI, right? But like we are also seeing trends for the past 2 months that people are taking a shot at building their own large data sets and training the models. And a community approach is coming forward to make your LLMs more stronger, right? And with your respect to your MVP question, right? So we see a lot of startups going towards a route of taking a very calculated MVP program, either taking a route with the right partner or outsourcing it to a CTO who is also a long-term partner with them, or thereby also being associated with any of your incubators or accelerators which can give you guidance, right? So probably we can catch up post our discussion and we can see how Brink can support you in your endeavor. Yeah, sure.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
So for MVPs, from my perspective, because I'm a technical person, I have a technical background, I would say that you bring down your subset to the lowest level and not focus on the larger aspect of it, but to create a prototype of the whatever solution you are making. So break it down to the very small level and start from there and see the results, what's happening, and then gradually scale it, going forward, adding whatever. It could be applied to any kind of technical aspect, what I'm talking about.
Do we have any more questions for the panelists here? You can raise your hand and we can get your question. Okay, we have one question here in the front.
हेलो
Yes.
गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन सर फाउंडर के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट क्या है कंपनी की प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी वैल्यूएशन एम्प्लॉय इन्वेस्टर का पैसा इम्पोर्टेंट क्या होता है फाउंडर के लिए सबसे ज़्यादा
इम्पोर्टेंट क्या होता है?
यस
सुमित,
गिव मी 1 मिनट ओनली. हाँ, एक लेवल तक सब स्टॉप हो जाता है. बहुत सारे आज सीनियर मतलब बड़े बड़े लोग हैं यहाँ पे, पर सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट क्या है फाउंडर के लिए? क्योंकि बहुत सारी जगह से सब कुछ लगा हुआ है और आप सब वही लेवल पे हो, तो सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट फाउंडर के लिए क्या होता है कंपनी को ग्रो करने के लिए?
ठीक है, we'll start with Sumit and then we.
So for me, of course, there are many answers for that. For our family and our business. Okay, हमारे परिवार के लिए बहुत जो इम्पोर्टेंट महत्वपूर्ण होता है कि हमारी वैल्यूज सही रहेगी तो वैल्यूएशन हमेशा बदलती रहेगी. सो आज चाहे हम लोग आज 99 में बिजनेस स्टार्ट किया और आज इतना बड़ा व्यापार कर रहे हैं, हमारे जो पिताजी या बापूजी ने सीखा है कि व्यापार कितना भी बढ़ जाए व्यवहार सही रहना चाहिए. एंड दिस इज़ वॉट वैल्यू वी हैव क्रिएटेड. सो ऐसे वैल्यूज़ अगर आप मेंटेन रखेंगे चाहे कितना भी ग्रोथ ले लीजिए आप, तो आपकी वैल्यूएशन हमेशा उद्धति होती रहेगी या कम भी होगी, बट वैल्यूज हमेशा सेम रखना. दिस इज व्हाट प्रिंसिपल वी फॉलो.
आई थिंक गुजरात की धरती पे जहाँ पे सबके खून में बिजनेस बहता है, आई थिंक ये सुमित ने बहुत अच्छी बात कही कि भले आप एक सॉफ्टवेयर कंपनी बना रहे हो या आप एक ट्रेडिशनल बिजनेस बना रहे हो, आपकी जो मूल उसूल हैं वो कभी बदलने नहीं चाहिए, वो सच होने चाहिए. एंड देन आपके लिए एक और मैसेज है इनकी तरफ से.
So, first and always have your commitment towards a consumer. He is the one you are there today and tomorrow, right? All the valuation, all the fundraise, everything else follows rest.
Yes.
हाँ, आप जो बोल रहे हो सही है, बट हम कई बार देखते हैं जस्ट लाइक जोमेटो, स्विगी, पेटीएम, कोई भी है, जस्ट लाइक बाईजूस, कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन बढ़ रहा है, कंपनी स्पॉन्सरशिप कहीं पे कर रही है, बट एम्प्लॉय को भी मतलब निकाल रही है सर. तो इम्पोर्टेंट क्या है, क्योंकि इसी के कारण तो कंपनी बनी है सर. छोटे छोटे आदमी जो भी है सर, चाहे आप ई शॉप देते हैं, कुछ भी देते हैं कंपनी को बड़ा करने के लिए, पर जब कंपनी बड़े लेवल पे जाती है तो छोटे एम्प्लॉय की सर क्या मतलब कुछ इतना रहता ही नहीं है ना. जस्ट लाइक आप भारत पे से भी हो सर, तो भारत पे का भी बहुत कुछ हुआ था सर. मतलब असनील, मैं कोई पॉलिटिकल किसी फाउंडर के ऊपर बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ, बट कॉन्ट्रीब्यूट तो बहुत सारे लोग करते हैं सर, बट ऊपर के लोग अर्न पे अर्न कर रहे हैं, पर जो छोटे लोग हैं सर उसका तो कुछ इतना होता ही नहीं है ना सर.
नहीं, बिल्कुल आपकी बात बिल्कुल सही है. थैंक यू सो मच. आई थिंक आई जस्ट ट्राई एंड क्विकली समराइज. मेरे हिसाब से जब एक कंपनी बहुत बड़े स्केल पे जाती है तो कई सारे फैक्टर्स होते हैं जिसकी वजह से अट्रीशन होते हैं. कई बार होता है कि शायद वो डिपार्टमेंट जो आप बनाना चाह रहे थे वो डिपार्टमेंट नहीं बन सकता है, या फिर और कोई टेक्निकल चैलेंजेस होते हैं. दैट्स समथिंग विच एवरी बिजनेस हैज़ टू गो. सिर्फ स्टार्टअप में नहीं होता, बड़े बिजनेसेस में होता है, बड़ी कंपनीज में भी होता है. एट्रीशन और ले ऑफ इज अ पार्ट which is not a good part, but unfortunately it's a reality. So I mean, I don't know exactly what to answer on that, but I think there are some technical challenges which you cannot avoid, and it happens in all segments and not only in startups. That's what I would like to mention. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Okay. No, okay. If we don't have the question, I'm going to move on to the panelist once again. My question, coming back to you, Amit. Going back to the early days of, I would say the golden days of banking in India, when government of India liberalized banking, where a lot of foreign banks were allowed to come to India, lending was liberalized, underwriting was liberalized. That was the wave where we saw what we call today fintech, or the innovation in finance. One of the biggest company was Bajaj Finserv. At a time where in small rural places or tier 3 and tier 4, getting loan was so difficult. Even today it's difficult for a lot of people in tier 4. Bajaj Finserv came as a very interesting concept where the idea was to start with consumer durable and then go into personal loan and other segments. Today they have one of the largest bill book in the country. You have spent a lot of time at Bajaj. What was the brief which was given to you by the leaders at the top, that how do we build this business in a country of 1.4 billion people, where we have so much diversity, both at the lending side, also at the side of when NPAs happen? I have seen Bajaj Finserv at almost all the electronic outlets across the country, be it Delhi, Gurgaon, Coimbatore, Ranchi, Patna, it's everywhere, Surat. What was going on in the mind, and what was the brief you guys used to discuss in the boardrooms every week? If you can share that with us.
Oh, definitely. So, consumer finance business, which Bajaj is largely known for, and obviously now on top of that, they have built various other use cases and lending products, and all of them, or most of them, are very successful and profitable. They entered this space and kind of become aggressive when the last credit cycle happened around 2007-8, right? At that point of time, there were few players like G Countrywide, and those were there, and they had to kind of wind out. And they found that opportunity, and they found the need in the market that this is the space where no other players is there, and there's a huge demand or need from a customer point of view, because aspirations of customers are increasing, discretionary spends are increasing, that they wanted to kind of grab that. And they had that bandwidth and brand to kind of, and capital to back that out. With my experience being with them for in their growth phase and growth journey over last 10 years, the values and the ethos of the company, right? That is very unique and different. They are one of the most hardest organizations I have seen in the industry in terms of hard work, in terms of growth mindset, and in terms of execution focus, right? The basic approach or success lies in kind of doing very deep planning and preparedness. Any businesses they launch, any market they launch, any segment they launch, right? There goes a lot of preparedness and planning around it, right? They will not set up a geography, for example, unless they have right set of infrastructure in place in terms of people, in terms of branches, in terms of network, in terms of partners to support that, right? And lot of effort goes in that, lot of organization bandwidth goes in kind of plan it. So they have a approach of a 5-year plan. So every year we like any other organization, we have an annual operating plan. We have something called long range plan, which again runs every year in the organization, where you think 5 year ahead, right? And plan for it from now. So 5-year plan, you visualize what are the possibilities in next 5 years, what are the business segment, what are the new technology innovations are going to come, and then plan for it and break those 5-year plan into individual 1-year plan along with your ongoing business plans which you do. So I think that's what I have learned, and that's what I have seen them being doing very successfully, and probably that's the result of what you see today in their numbers and their growth journey.
Thanks, Amit. My last question to you, Sumit. One of the very important aspect of any nation, the growth of the nation, is the infrastructure. What we saw in the US in the 70s and the early 80s was a lot of railroad and the road network being created, a corridor being created. That's happening in India right now. When you started in 1999, obviously we did not have the amazing infrastructure which we have today. Today, the government of India is working on the freight corridor. We have the waterways corridor. We have the rail corridor coming up, and things are going to go even further from here on. If you are to start RR cable today, how would you start? Would it be easy? Would it be difficult? How differently we would do it today if you have to start today?
Well, of course, it will be little bit difficult comparatively in today's world, because the competitive edge and the innovation what we bought at that point of time was a clear edge over others. So today, of course, the world has come to another level where the innovations are going very, very faster and the faster pace. So if you ask me with the fund scale, what we require to start with at that point of time and today's point of time, it is very, very difficult. So unless and until it is a clearly disruption strategy to reach in top 3 and that kind of product, we will not be able to enter at this moment of time, I can say that.
Great, wonderful. Santosh, my question to you, for a lot of early stage startups who are sitting here, most of them, they start pitching to the wrong investors, which is VCs. At an early stage, it's almost impossible to get a VC check. Even getting a check from an early stage investor is difficult. That's where the important aspect comes of an accelerator or a venture builder. Do you want to give some insights on how you are supporting this very crucial, as we call it, the value of death? How are you helping startups, and how a startup can leverage something like a venture building solution to build and scale to the next level?
Very, very valid point today, right? So most of the time, so whatever you start, it's like always 50-50, right? How do you minimize that is basically based on your homework, your research, and then you can mitigate the risk by partnering with the right people, right? And that's what we should look at when you start something also, right? So it's very difficult to get into someone to invest in an idea after the friends and family round. But if you can look the route of either an incubator or an accelerator or be associated with any of the institutions which can help you to minimize the risk quotient, and thereby when the product or the idea becomes validated, then you'll move to an ecosystem where the business and the founder and the market is being aggregated by someone who is already in the VC ecosystem. And thereby it comes with a recommendation, and thereby comes with an external data points for other VCs to come in. Yep.
Wonderful. My last question to you, Rishant. We already spoke about Web3. We already spoke about how the ecosystem is growing at a very fast pace. My question to you would be, anyone who's trying to build anything in Web3, how do they start? Because it's a wide spectrum. There are a lot of things available. While there are solutions available, there are also challenges, and there are also a lot of people trying to do the same thing. How do you find a niche? Number one. Number two, how do you find for example, if I'm building a technology company, I have AWS layer available, I have Azure available, I have cache free available, I have other available things. Can you list down some of the resources and the most important, I would say the checklist, which I should look to follow as an early stage Web3 founder?
So most of the Web2 resources are readily available for Web3 as well, coming down to like AWS or whatever technology stack you want to use. Apart from that, it's the first and foremost thing is what you are trying to achieve. Either you are just creating a vaporware or you're actually trying to solve certain kind of problem. Once you have broke down on that aspect, then you of course need to have a very strong technical team who can create a certain kind of protocol, like a prototype for you. And then, of course, there are multiple ways of raising in Web3 as well. I think Brinks is also doing a lot of Web3 acceleration programs. But there is a possibility of, there are certain protocols, like I will talk about Polkadot over here. So if you have an idea and if you want to develop, you can literally post that idea on a public forum, and if the community feels that you are kind of bringing certain kind of value to the ecosystem, you will get the funding from the ecosystem itself, and that will be in the form of crowd loan. So you need not go and knock the doors of VCs or the investors. If you have the idea, if you have the technical capability, you can just submit your ideas on the online portal, and if it gets selected, you will get funded right away. So that's the easiest approach, at least in Polkadot ecosystem. I don't know in other ecosystems how it's happening.
Great, wonderful. I think that brings us to the end of the session. Do we have any more question? We have time for one last question. If anyone has, you can raise your hand and we can take your question to the panelists here. All right. I think we are good for today. Yeah, with this, I would like to take this opportunity to wrap up this session. Thank you so much, all the panelists coming here and taking out time. It has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience here. Thanks a lot.